Hello everyone, and welcome back to an installment of Distance Learning with Art. So, today I'm going to be working on coloring in the alien landscape or alien artifact or artifact from a different culture. So I am going to actually be coloring it with markers. I figured I'd use markers because a lot of us have markers at home, and in our actual classrooms, we typically don't use markers or really have time to talk about marker techniques. So I wanted to actually go over some different things that you guys can do with these that you might not realize. Okay, so I'm just going to be coloring some like random spots in this, so just kind of bear with me. Okay, so same thing as always. Things as they get farther away get lighter. Things that are closer to you are darker and more richly colored. So when I'm thinking about that, I might want to choose colors that are lighter, something like this, instead of, a pink instead of a really dark red, or a lighter purple instead of a dark purple, to represent things and objects that are in the background. So I'm looking through my marker container here, looking for some of my lighter colors as I go to color that background. I'm going to go ahead and put these out of the way. Okay, so put those off to the side. If you made one of our earlier projects of using a pasta box to make a supply holder, you can also, if you're having issues with markers running away, you can put them in here so that you don't have to worry about that. Okay, so let's talk about some coloring techniques. So first of all, anytime you're using a marker, always put the cap on the back. They're designed so that the caps stay on, so that'll help. The other thing is, these markers have tips to them. So this is a pointed tip. Some of them have chisel tips. So chisel tips are kind of like a rectangle almost. The thing that's really important is that you're not smashing the tip. And the other thing is, especially with these lighter colors, you want to use your lighter colors first because the tips become discolored and actually mix with another color when you touch them next to each other. So just be careful with that. Okay, so same thing as always whenever we're coloring. You want to outline first. And you'll notice that because I'm outlining right next to a black, I already have to worry about the tip of my marker becoming a different color. And every time I color, every single time, no matter what material it is, I always make sure that I'm turning my paper so that I can be as successful as possible and make it easier for myself. There's no reason to make it harder for yourself. Okay, so I've outlined it now. And I always outline because a lot of times you just start coloring back and forth. And when you do that, you go outside of your lines and then you're like, well, I ruined that because that was marker. So save yourself, make your life easy, outline first. Alright, so some basic techniques are just going back and forth. So if you notice, I'll zoom in so you can actually see what I'm doing. So if you notice, I had some black already get on the tip of my marker. You can see right here that I pulled it through. If you're one of my people who is really concerned about not having the colors kind of cross-contaminate and things like that, what you can do on an extra sheet of paper, and this is my planning notebook here, is you can actually kind of roll the tip a little bit to try and get some of that color to come off. It's not going to actually come off of the marker, but the color that it actually puts down with the marker will help come off when you rub it on another color, or rub it on another sheet of paper. Okay, so got it outlined. And now I'm just going to take my time and enjoy coloring back and forth. This is one of the other reasons why we don't spend a lot of time in actual class using markers, because the truth is they take a really long time to look really nice. So now that you have some extra time on your hands, markers might be a really good thing to investigate. So what I'm doing is I'm just going back and forth. I'm not really lifting up my marker or anything like that. I'm just filling it in. So I could end it here, I could be done with that, but I'm also going to show you some techniques of how to do some blending. So I can now take a darker color than what I originally had. To me, the orange is a little bit darker than the pink, and I'm going to just go over top of it. And what I'm going to start to do is I'm really starting to mix those two colors together. But the thing is, with markers, it's just going to go over top of each other. There's really no way to get that 100% smooth transition that we normally get with blending. I'm going to go close to that edge. Notice how since I didn't outline and then fill in that I had that issue of I had a gap in the edge. So anyway, I've now done that. couple different ways to blend with markers. You can come back with the other color and go on top of it and really help mix those, and because they transfer onto that other color, it helps kind of smooth them together. Just like this, and I'm kind of coloring down halfway and then bringing that color up. One of the other things you have to worry about with markers is that the more color that you put on it, and I'm not sure if you guys can see it, I'm going to try to lighten it a little bit. The more color that you put on it, the more that the paper pulp itself starts to come apart. So be careful how much pigment you're putting down, and pigment is like the color that you're putting down. So just be careful about that you're not going to make a hole in your whole picture. So now I'm bringing up that pink, and there we go. So I've made some blending. Other fun things to do with markers is, just like what we do with crayons and things like that, is overpainting or drawing something, drawing a detail on top. So maybe I want to show that this is like a really like glistening alcove, and it looks like it has little, little dots on it of light reflecting, and I can just draw those things on. You can draw directly on top of something. That's totally fine. You can also do patterns on top. So you can color and then come back and do a pattern to enhance it. So it's really up to you. It's your choice on what you actually do. But blending, outlining and filling in, and then over painting, I call it painting because it's one of our painting techniques, or over drawing is something that's a really good technique to use with markers. That's going to be it for our marker demonstration, but if you have questions, let me know as always, and I'd love to see what you're working on. If you have questions, let me know.